What is up, everybody? How's it going? Hopefully, you guys are doing well. I know it's been a while, but I am in a new venue and it has different lighting. It is a little brighter than I expected, but hopefully, it won't distract or diminish in any way from the video. But I wanted to talk today about the gaming greed. I know I've made many videos of this in the past, but this has just been on my mind lately, especially with all the past bad releases in 2023, kind of like Gollum, Redfall, the bad launch of Star Wars. It just brought to light of just how right I am about this gaming industry and how it just has changed. And it's more of just like I don't want it to change. I like it where there's three factors. Number one, I want a full and complete story, no bugs, glitches, or crashes, and no monetization. So I'm talking about no season passes, no loot boxes, no um, DLC, nothing of that of the sort. And I feel like we have lost our way, and companies just don't care about that anymore because all they care about is the greed. And that's the thing with all these big games is that they lost their way in terms of what the consumer wants. They don't care about what the consumer wants. They only care about what makes them the most money and if what can push them out the fastest. For example, in Diablo 4, yeah, it might be an okay game, but the monetization is horrible. It's crazy of how much they're charging for skins and cosmetics in the game. For Gollum, it released totally unfinished, and they totally missed the point of who Gollum is and what his story was. And then you have the other side of Redfall, in that it just was not a good game at all. I mean, it had terrible gameplay, and it had, I think, some really bad glitches, and it just was so bad of a game that no one really enjoyed it at all. And then you had Star Wars, where it had such a bad launch, no one could even play it at launch because it just couldn't even run on the fastest PCs imaginable. So I am just so sick of it because so far in this year, I have bought no full plot priced new releases at all. Um, I have bought nothing. I think back in January or February, I think January, I tried out GameFly and I played a few games, but that was renting it, and that was only like for like what $16, $17 a month or something like that for 1 or 2 months or whatever. So just to try it, you know. Um, Sorry, my nose is a little congestion, but um, I haven't bought any new games this year. I bought a lot of them in 2022 because there's a lot of good ones. That was probably the most money I've spent in 1 year on video games alone. Because you got Splatoon 3, you had Horizon Forbidden West, you had God of War, and you had, I'm blanking on the other game I got, but they had so many great releases in 2022 that I bought pretty much all I wanted to. And now this year, it's like, well, there's nothing really that interests me. Yeah, there are some good games out there, but they're not my style. Like Final Fantasy, you got Tears of the Kingdom. You got games like that where they are good, yes, because they're based on companies that do a great job. But in terms of like actual games I like, there aren't that many. And just because I don't, it's either not my style or just because I know the game's going to be bad. And for example, I probably have a good feeling that Starfield, I think that's a new Microsoft game, that one's going to be terrible. Xbox has been on a terrible streak lately, and I don't think they could be trusted at all. I think they need to be out of the game because they're not a gaming company. They never were. They sort of were back in 2008 in 2010 around the era when they were beating the PS3. Um, but they've fallen ship and no one trusts them now. And that's the thing because these companies don't care about the consumer and actually putting out a great game. All they care about is just pushing out a product, seeing how much money it makes, and moving on to the next. They don't care if you purchase the game. They don't care if you rant about it. But I want to make this video just because I want to rant about my feelings towards the gaming industry because it is so bad right now. And it's bad because it's like I don't really know what games to play because all these live service online games, they are popular for like a month or two and then they fall off and no one cares about them. It's like, it's kind of sad. I had a friend who was majorly into Overwatch last year. Then once it switched to Overwatch 2, he didn't care about it. And then I had friends who played Rainbow Six Siege. They don't care about it either. And then you had Fall Guys. No one cares about that. And then you had the other games where it's like, well, you had multiverses, but that's closed. So that's a whole different story. But you had other games like Battlefield. Like, that one's still popular, yeah. But the player base is dwindling. And it's just hard to keep a good player base. And no, I am not going to buy ever Call of Duty. I have given my reasons why. It is just so bad. I am not going to buy that. I don't support Activision anyway. Number one, I am not going to play a game that takes 250 gigabytes minimum of your storage space. It's just crazy. And plus, the biggest thing with Call of Duty is that it's a $70 for a game, right? But they release it every single year. So are you going to play 70 hours in 1 year? I just don't think I have that kind of time, money, and energy to spend on Call of Duty. Anyways, I'm trying to find other games. Right now I'm into Overwatch 2, just grinding out, still having fun in that game, just not caring about winning or losing. So that's kind of like why I have fun. I'm still trying to find other games to play online because I have great internet now. So it's great. But in terms of all these other games, I'm always used to playing the older games now on the PS3, some older games on the PS4, so games that got ported from the PS3 to the PS4 and now to the PS5. And it's just fun playing those games because it's like those were the quality games. Like The Last of Us is my favorite video game of all time. I can't deny that because it's so good. There was no monetization. The game worked. It had a full, complete story. It was absolutely amazing game. If you have not played The Last of Us yet, I sincerely hope you do because it is truly an amazing game, and I really hope everyone gets to enjoy that game. Especially since it's got ported to PC, people finally have the chance to play it now. And so I just think that these companies just aren't pushing out great products, and I really think that people should not be buying them unless they are absolutely certain it's going to be good and they're going to enjoy it. And I say that for some games and some aren't. So people were really excited for Redfall, and they're like, no, this is trash. But then there are some game companies you can trust, like Nintendo. They put out Tears of the Kingdom, and it's such a great game because they did such a great job with it. But like I said, me personally, I just don't like the game. I don't like puzzles. So it's just not the game for me, but I do get that it's a great game. I'm not bagging on the game. I just think that they have a lot of improvement for other companies as well. Do I think they're going to improve? Do I think they even care? No, I don't think at all. I have no hope for it. The gaming industry, I think it's going to die. A lot of these companies are just going to swallow up other companies. But there are tons of other indie games that are great. And a lot of past games I still play. And that's also what I've been playing recently. I've been playing Overwatch 2. I've been playing other PS4 games. I'm looking at my collection over there. Playing some Switch games because it's on the go. Stuff like that because it's like that's the era I want to embrace and not down this microtransaction thing. I mean, the last big microtransaction I spent was in probably 2021. And I spent that on a Rocket League pack for the James Bond car. And to have like a title and theme song, whatever. I thought that was really cool. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to play Rocket League a lot. It's a lot of good time and investment to work this, to purchase this. And it's only one. And then the last one I did buy, the microtransaction I bought before that was Overwatch back in like 2016, 2017. And that was like two $40 packs for the loot boxes. Yes, I did spend a hefty amount on Overwatch, but that's because I wanted to make a big investment in it. If I'm going to be playing a game for a long time, and I know it's going to be there for a long time, I want to invest in it. Now, in terms of getting new skins and spending it on the season pass and everything in Overwatch 2, I don't do that. I gave up on getting any new skins in Overwatch 2 because it's not worth it. I mean, I'm not going to be buying $20 for a Tracer skin. That's ridiculous. And so, otherwise, yeah, I don't really buy into the season pass for Overwatch. I just play the game, embrace the old skins. That's what I do. I love that I have so many unique and cool skins, like the San Francisco Shock skins from 2018. Those are amazing because they did such a great job Green does, and then they switched to silver somehow in like 2020 or something like that. And I'm so mad about that, but it's rare. And I'm kind of mad I missed out on the Pink Mercy skin as well. Sorry, this rant is all over the place. We're going between video games and what I like, what I play, whatever. But that's kind of like my style, and that's kind of like what I want to embrace in this world. Is I want to encourage others to play the old games. Now, you probably have, I get that, and you want new stuff, but for the people that don't really play video games that much. I'm kind of casual. I play video games maybe 2 to 3 hours a day. Very, very little. Even at that, because I have work and stuff. I'm tired, and I just like to play the old games where it's just like cool. I can play a level or two, pause it, play the next day or another time. And I've been playing all these old PS3 games I love. Over the past like couple years, I've been playing the God of War franchise. I've been playing the Infamous franchise. I've been playing the Killzone franchise, and I was like, these games are absolutely amazing. I'm really sad I didn't play these when I was a kid. Like the Little Big Planet series, Little Big Planet 2 is an amazing game. I'm sad that they can't port it to anyone else because it's the PS3 engine and stuff like that. But it's just kind of sad that it's left in the past, and you kind of have to buy the PS3 and all the hardware. You can stream it, but the streaming service isn't that great, you know. But right now I'm playing through the Resistance franchise, and I can't wait to finish that. And then I'm going to get on to more better series, Jack and Daxter, Sly Cooper, and this experience those for the first time because those are what gaming is about. There was no microtransactions in it. It was a full and complete story. And it was just a great era in gaming where I could just experience right now. Especially in a time where it's all about greed and companies don't even care about what game they make. And so it's a beauty to play all those PS3 games because it was a great era in gaming that I never got to experience. Because again, I had a PSP during that time. I played some of those games, especially during that era. I played Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker a ton. I played a lot of the great PSP games during that era. I played SOCOM Fireteam Bravo 3. That was the best online shooter during that time. Just because there was a lot of activity and a lot of good stuff. Snipe No Cross was amazing in that game. And I just think that we've lost our way in terms of like creating new games because I think the industry should do better. I think that they need to care what the consumer actually thinks and wants rather than how much money it can make. Because all they're caring about is on the monetization is the small pot of whales. And that's all they're counting on. It's like that 3% is like that will spend $250,000 on the game. And then they're like, okay, we're done. Move on to the next. Because that's all they care about. And that's why I kind of like don't like FIFA now, or never did, because it's like, well, you have that one spender that would spend all that money every single year on a FIFA, then they would just make the next one. So it's kind of hard just to keep up with everything because I don't care about anything. It's like, oh, why should I care about Starfield? That's Xbox. They haven't really been making any good games. Or why should I care about Redfall? I mean, well, that's Xbox side. Okay. What's another, like Gollum? It's like I never even heard of that before, and then they released it, and it's like, what? What did they do? I mean, this was a terrible game, and that's how I heard about it. And so I never even heard about anything good about it before launch. And so this year, I don't really plan on spending anything. Though one game I might spend on, but I'm going to do my best to hold on and Spider-Man 2. I haven't pre-purchased that game yet, and I don't intend to. I'm going to wait for it. Even though I might get spoiled, I'm going to wait for the game to be cheaper because like a year later down the line, that game is going to drop to like $50. Perfect time to buy it. And I'm like, okay, this is great. Perfect price. Don't have to pay $75. I could pay $53. So might help in my favor, but that's kind of like what I think about what's been going on is I just think that I don't want to spend any money on video games this year because there's nothing at all that I want. Just because either it's not my style or they just did a terrible job at the game and I don't approve of it. And for those games that were released terribly, just wait. For Star Wars, I would have just waited. Even though it's holding up in price, it doesn't really matter because the game, it launched terribly. No one could even play it because it kept crashing and it was so terribly optimized that no one like was having a good experience. And so at that point is like, is it truly worth it to play it on day one? Is it truly worth it to play video games on day one if you're going to have a bad experience? Especially if games are not, like, they take forever to actually fix it. So that's what I'm talking about. And the one thing I always say is that I will never forgive these companies for what they did back then. Fallout 76, Avengers, EA, Star Wars Battlefront 2, Anthem. All these games, I will never forgive their developers because I will never forget what they did and what they've done. And so, therefore, I can never purchase these games or never like support any new games or anything. I will never support Activision because of what they did to Black Ops 4 back in like 2018, 2019. I will never forgive Anthem and BioWare because they screwed up that launch. I will never forgive Fallout 76 and any future games by Bethesda because that game was a total train wreck. And I will never forgive EA because they had the worst microtransaction system in history and they don't even care about what they did. And that's what bothers me is that people forget and they tend to forgive these companies, but I don't. I have no mercy on these companies at all. They know what they did and they know what they are going to do in the future. So why should I buy their games if they don't even forgive their past? They don't even acknowledge of what they did. And so why should I even buy any games from them if I know of what they did in the past? And how do I know they're going to correct in the future? How do I know any of their games are going to be good with no microtransactions, no monetization, no DLC? It's going to be full and complete with no bugs, glitches, or crashes. How do I know those games are not going to repeat the same cycle they did in the past? Because they're going to do the same thing in the future. And that's the fact. And I can't deny it because that's what is happening right now. They are totally about greed. They do not care about the consumer, and it's all about business for them. And I get it. They need to turn a profit, but also they need to listen to consumers. Because if the consumers are going to listen and acknowledge of what's been happening, they are not going to buy any games, and that's the problem. And that's what I'm doing, is I haven't been buying any games because I know that half of them are going to be terrible. And I won't forgive these companies of what they did in the past. And I will never forget of what they're going to do. So, anyways, this is my very long rant about kind of like the game Greed, what I've been playing, and just my opinions overall. With lots of love and respect, I will see you guys later. Hopefully you guys are doing well and just having fun with whatever you're doing in life. And I will see you guys later. Bye.